Hi, I'm Billy Joel. You guys remember me?
Billy Joel, completely retold. Welcome to It's Still Billy Joel to Me, the official live stream of Billy Joel completely retold on Facebook. All right. Thanks, guys, for tuning in to today's episode. The other day when I did that interview with Reese Clark and all his drumming experience with Billy and before it and after it, we talked a lot about the Sigma concert and how in 2013 they went back and did a Sigma reunion. I showed my autographed CDs and DVD from that show that Elio Pace put out in the last couple years. As I was going through the stuff, I realized there was an insert book in the DVD. So I grabbed that. You can see here for the DVD, Long Time, the Sigma reunion live in New York City. The historic reunion of Billy Joel's original 1971-72 studio and touring band. And of course, that includes Larry Russell, Reese Clark, Don Evans on guitar. And then to help fill in missing spots like Billy Joel, they got Elio Pace from the UK, David Clark, and Kenny Ingram. So we were talking about this, and I thought it'd be kind of neat if I went ahead and just read this for you. As I looked through it, you can tell it was written by Larry. And remember, this was the DVD was put out by Elio Pace in the UK. I want you to go to eliopace.com where you can order your own copy of the CD, the DVD of the reunion concert, and he also has CDs of his album concert shows that he did. He did like the entire album of Cold Spring Harbor, put it on his CD. If the original Cold Spring Harbor had sounded that good, Billy would have been a hit years before The Stranger came out. All right, so I'm just going to read through this and the liner notes so you can hear what Larry said. What I'm hoping is sometime get Larry on here and tell some stories. So fingers crossed, we'll see if we can talk Larry into doing that sometime, all right? So, and then what I'll do also is go through and scan all this and put it in the museum so you guys can get a closer look at it. But you can see here it's just a picture. The concert in 2013 was originally at the Bitter End, which of course was the reunion concert from that was done at Sigma Sound Studios in Philadelphia back in, I think it was 1971. Excuse me, 72. Here's what Larry had to say about it. It says, in early 1972, only a few months into Billy Joel's debut tour of the U.S., Philadelphia radio station WMMR invited Billy and a three-piece band to their Sigma Sound Studios to perform a set live on the air as part of a series of radio shows featuring unknown artists. It was during this radio show that Billy and the band performed one of his new songs, Captain Jack, as part of the set. The show was taped, and DJs at WMMR started to play this live version of Captain Jack on their radio shows. It became the most requested song in WMMR's history. The excitement at the station, generated by the song and the young unknown singer-songwriter, eventually reached Clive Davis at Columbia Records, who signed Billy Joel to the label. Here's Larry Russell to tell you about how, 41 years later, Billy Joel's original studio and touring band reunited at the Bitter End in New York City to recreate the April 1972 WMMR radio concert. All right, and it's hard to make out, but this was actually a picture of the line for people waiting to get into the Bitter End. I looked close. I couldn't pick out any retolders, but there might have been some people there. Maybe the people I recognize are at the end of the line. That's where I was. So it says in November 2011, Sony Columbia Records released the 2-disc Piano Man Legacy Edition album. The first disc featured a remastered version of Billy Joel's 1973 album, Piano Man. The second disc featured the first ever official release of the legendary WMMR radio concert. Recorded at Sigma Sound Studios in Philadelphia on April 5th, 1972, this live recording featured Billy Joel on piano and vocals, Reese Clark on drums, Alan Hertzberg on guitars, and yours truly on bass. At the time of its release, I was very much in touch with the late Jeff Schock, Billy's former road manager, bringing him up to date with comments and reviews relating to the release. Up until the end of his life, Jeff worked as Billy's archivist and earlier as administrative executive for Billy's marketing. Of course, I was excited about the release of the WMMR concert on the Piano Man Legacy Edition because Jeff had featured an historic recording and our band, the original band, for the first time. Jeff was actually at the reunion concert. I remember meeting him there, and he passed away suddenly in 2017, so rip for Jeff Schock. For more than 2 years, I thought about recording. I thought about this record being more than a CD release. I saw it as a new beginning to reconstruct the Sigma 1972 breakthrough that was now being sold to the public for the first time since 1972. Then it occurred to me, why not produce a reunion of some kind? A show dedicated to the performance we played that night in Philadelphia, now known as Billy Joel's Sigma Show. I spent some time earnestly trying to gather funding from various investors. When you add up what was needed between airfares, hotel rooms, rehearsal rooms, per diems, equipment hire, videography, recording, editing, sound engineering, and crew, it all comes to a substantial amount of money. All at once, I felt it was just undoable, so I gave it a rest for at least a year. All right, on this page we have some nice pictures of Kenny and Reese on drums and Don over on guitar. In early 2013, I thought, well, let me see if everyone will do it on their dime, their expense. Good idea. So one by one, I started calling everybody, including our guitarist Al, who told me I didn't have to pay for him to do the show. He only wanted his car fare. I told him that was ridiculous and that I would pay him anyway. Unfortunately, a short while later, Al had to pull out of the reunion due to ill health. Next, I called our original drummer, Reese Clark, who would fly from California to New York to do the show. I then called Don Evans, who was Billy's guitar player on the first album, Cold Spring Harbor, and who was happy to join us for the reunion. Then, I needed to find 2 singing piano players because I wanted more than one Billy on stage, just to make it more interesting. I also thought about hiring a youngster to show the audience that it's not just old farts like us who love this music. So I scoured the internet and found Kenny Ingram, a Canadian pianist from Winnipeg. I could hardly believe he was only a teenager. He was damn good and he worshipped Billy Joel's music. I think he was about 15 when this all took place. I thought it would be a great idea if Kenny opened the show with an unexpected performance of Got to Begin Again from the Cold Spring Harbor album. And it worked. He was fantastic and, good singer as well. All right, and then we have our 2 Billies from the evening. We've got Dave Clark and we've got Elio Pace. My search continued for a Billy, someone who could play piano like Billy and sing like Billy. That was a tall order. This was not a look-alike situation. This was about finding top musical talent. I found David Clark, who played Miami 2017 a lot like Joel. I got in touch with him, and he was eager to contribute. This idea of putting the band together was coming together quicker than I thought, but I needed one more Billy to fill out the band. Tony Walker, hey, Tony, a great guy and a major fan on the Billy Joel Retold Facebook group that Mike Stutz founded and operates, told me about Elio Pace from the UK. So I did my usual routine, checking out his playing and his singing, and he was superb. After receiving his okay to call, Elio and I would stay on the phone for hours talking about what it was like to be on tour with Billy. That's when I want to hear the stories, Larry. We got to do that. Oh, and then we got the centerfold with a bunch of pictures. We got, he's not throwing devil horns. He's doing I Love You. Then we got our Billies. We got Larry. We got a group picture of the band. Oh, we got Reese giving Larry some love. Oh, and there's Elio with his Billy shades on. All right. Another few weeks were spent going back and forth with Paul Rizzo, the owner of Bitter End. And finally, the date was set, September 22nd, 2013. I now had all the band members in place, and what a lineup it was. That night, we packed the Bitter End. The owner had to lock the door and refuse further sales. It was a full house. And yes, it was. There were friends in the audience that I had not seen in 20, 30, 40 years. And there were new friends eager to find out how good this band was then and now. Oh, I didn't show the pictures here. We've got a picture of the entrance to the bitter end, and we've got pictures of Larry, and that one looks like Elio. Yeah. Back in the dressing room, Elio said to me, "Larry, you go there and warm up the audience. Frame the story, Larry." I fearfully said, "No, you should be the one to do it." Elio quickly jumped on my response, exclaiming, "No, Larry, you were there then. You're part of this amazing history. Do it." We have a picture of Elio talking to the crowd at the bitter end. Bitter end is like one long room with the stage facing the short way. So we all had these little tables, and it was like 2 or 3 rows, and then some booths in the back, and it was definitely packed. And so, with that, I went out there on that sacred stage and spoke to the audience about how we were going to rewrite history that wasn't even written at all. I then introduced everyone in the band who, one by one, took the stage to a full round of applause. Besides being one of the best piano players I've ever heard, Elio has the talent to warm up any audience anywhere, and he did just that. When you watch this concert film, you will see and hear how everyone's preparation and dedication resulted in an unforgettable evening for both us on stage and the audience. I hope that this debut release of our Sigma reunion plugs the gaps in the commonly accepted story of Billy Joel's early career. That live version of Captain Jack from that WMMR radio show, which led to Billy signing to Columbia Records, impacted all of our lives. The rest, of course, is history. We are proud to have been a part of that magical breakthrough moment. Best, Larry Russell, bass player for Billy Joel's first touring band, 1971-72. All right, the next page here is just some credits with pictures of the band members and what they play. We got Larry Russell bass, Reese Clark on drums, Don Edmonds did the electric and acoustic guitars, background vocals on Chapter 12. Elio Pace was the lead vocals and piano on Chapters 7, 9, 16, 21, 23, and 27. Harmonica on Chapter 9, background vocals on Chapter 29. David Clark was lead vocals and piano on all the other ones, 5, 11, 12, 18, 25, and 29. And then at the bottom is Kenny Ingram, lead vocals and piano on Chapter 3, piano on Chapter 14, background vocals on Chapter 29. He came out for the encore. It says music produced by Elio Pace, live sound and recording engineered at the bitter end on Sunday, September 22nd, 2013. And then it has the credits of everybody that helped out. Elio Pace, Tony Draper, Nick Watson. Directed and edited by Peter Thorpe for Big Small TV. We got Amy Worth, Luke Kearney, Steve Tottingham. Executive producer, Elio Pace. Just goes on. And there's a nice picture of the glass painting at the bitter end. Elio would like to thank, and then I'll just have you guys look at the scan when I put it up. But it does say, huge thanks to the original producers of the live reunion shows at the bitter end, New York City on Sunday, September 22nd. And they also did a night in Philadelphia at the World Cafe, Live Philadelphia on the 24th. Also which was Carl Wooden, Ron Prager, Mick Canner, Matt Harnick, Brooks Litho, Jenkins Martin Drum, Anthony Daniker. Special thanks to Larry Russell, who was the executive producer of the live reunion shows, and for making it all happen in the first place. But most of all, thank you, Billy Joel. This album is dedicated in loving memory to Al Hertzberg and Jeff Schock. Al also passed away around 2015, so he never did recover from the illness that he was fighting why he couldn't be in the reunion, which would have been magnificent. And then the backside here is a list of the tracks or chapters, since this is a DVD. And then we've got, so this is what it was the opening titles, Intro by Larry. Then we did Got to Begin Again, Falling in the Rain, Traveling Prayer, The Ballad of Billy the Kid, She's Got Away, Everybody Loves You Now, Nocturne, Turn Around, Long, Long Time, which had never formally been released, Captain Jack, which was the one that got requested so much on the radio and actually gave Billy his big break, Josephine, which had never been released, Rosalinda, which had never been released, and then Tomorrow is Today, and then they all came out for a jam on the original length of You Can Make Me Free, not the 1980s edited down version for the remaster. Of course, credit where credit's due, words and music by Billy Joel. Filmed and recorded live at the Bitter End, New York City on Sunday, September 22nd, 2013. Running time's about an hour, 22 minutes. And there is a bonus feature, since it's DVD, Larry Russell's Tale from a Taxi, which is pretty funny if you get a chance to see that. And the way you're going to see it is going to eliopace.com and ordering up your copy. And when you do that, remember, you haven't heard Billy Joel till you've heard Billy Joel completely retold. We'll see you next time, guys.